John Harvey, Managing Director of AgriFutures Australia. Welcome to the evokeAG studio.
Thank you. Good to be here.
How's it going? This is a very impressive event that's been put on by your organisation, John.
Yeah, look, very, very pleased with how it's going. Very proud of the team that's put it together at AgriFutures and our partners. There's been a lot of meticulous work going into planning for this event, and we've been planning for it now for over 18 months since we first had the concept. And like yesterday morning when it opened, it was a very surreal feeling walking around and actually seeing what we've been planning for about 18 months.
You've had to turn people away quite literally. What do you hope those who really have the privilege of being here might go away with? What sort of message would you like them to go away with?
Yeah, it's a good question, and yeah, look, we certainly sold out, and the interest in the event in evokeAG was, blew us away, better than we could have ever anticipated. But I want people to go away excited about agriculture. I want people to understand also that the whole innovation area is changing, and that we're now part of a global rural innovation system, and we've got to start thinking in terms of the globe, not just in terms of Australia. So we're a very proud exporter, and we feed 60 million people, and if we even if we double that, to 120 million, which would be fantastic. By 2050, we're going to have 59.5 billion people. So what else can we do? And I think one of the roles we could play here in Australia is to be working with other countries in terms of our technology and helping them to produce more, but also earning income and revenue and respect from that process.
Is there anything that you've come across so far that's really resonated with you out of the program you've put together?
There's so much that's resonated. And sometimes, it looks really daunting. Like I sometimes look at it and I think, global, it sounds scary, it sounds big, it sounds impossible. But one example, Dan Winson out of Wagga Wagga, tiny little, or ex-TAFE teacher, saw an opportunity in terms of how do you get Wi-Fi coverage over a farm? Went and had a look at that problem, came up with this new approach, which he calls sleepy Wi-Fi, and can reduce the costs of your battery and your solar by 90%. Okay, that's fabulous. That's one guy, and now he's got a team around him, obviously. But it's not just technology for the Wagga Wagga area. It's technology which he's rolling out in West Australia. He's rolling out in the NT, and it's scalable. He can roll it out anywhere in the world. And so it's the opportunities are huge, but they all start from small beginnings.
There's an impressive Israeli contingent here. What do you think we can learn from them, John? There are lots of parallels, obviously, between the countries. What can we learn from the Israelis?
Look, I think there are a lot of similarities but a lot of differences between Australia and Israel. But what Israel does particularly well, it's very good at the commercialising their ideas. They are a small country, 8 million people. They fit within a quarter of Tasmania, surrounded by enemies. And so they know that if they're going to innovate, it's got to be for the world. It can't just be for Israel. And they are very, very good at the commercialisation, but also the various players, the universities, the government, the industries, the startups, the investors, the VCs, they all are well connected, and they all talk to each other and they share ideas. And I think that is really an important lesson for us here in Australia, is how do we actually connect our various players? How do we connect the RDCs, for example, to the startup community? How do we connect, farmers with investors? So there's some of those, making it easier. If you imagine somebody coming into Sydney Airport, is interested in ag tech, maybe wants to invest in ag tech in Australia, they walk out of the international terminal, what do they do? Where do they go? How do they know who to talk to? We ought to be making it easy for them.
You've been quoted as saying, John, that there's a unique opportunity to create another epicentre for agri-food tech outside of the already prospering hubs in North America, Europe and Israel, as we were just talking about. Why do you think Australia is uniquely poised to perhaps be that?
Well, smart farmers, innovative researchers, and when you look at our environment, look at where we're placed, we're very close to Asia, so a lot of the ag tech market's going to be in Asia. And then we've got this incredible environment. We've got such diversity in our production systems. We've got tropics, we've got subtropics, we've got Mediterranean, we've got temperate. We've got everything. So what a place to come and test a global technology. What a place to do that. We've got stable government. So it only makes sense for a company, whether it's from Australia or overseas, to look at Australia as a potential foundation market, as a place where you commercialise, where you test your technology. Sure, once you've done that, take it globally, no problem at all. And of course, the side advantage for us and benefit for us is that our farmers then get first access to the best technology in the world.
Sorry, you're losing your face.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you say, we do have some of the best in the world in Australia. We're great with innovation,
Yep.
we're great with research, but often fall over when it comes to commercialisation and implementation of all of that. How do we change that?
Right, so this is really critical, and I think this is where we're at a bit of a crossroads. When you look at how we've done innovation, we've very much had in mind innovation for Australian farmers. 25 million people in Australia. In the world's, there's 8 billion people in the world. The reality is it's very, very difficult to commercialise technology for such a small market. 150,000 farms in Australia. Very hard to commercialise these technologies if you've got a mindset that we're only commercialising it for Australian marketplace. Israel know that because there isn't a market there. New Zealand know that. They know they've got to export. And I think in some ways we're betwixt and between, and it's very easy for us to be a little bit complacent and just look at the Australian market when really, yes, that's important, but there's also an opportunity which will make commercialisation possible, which is going global.
There are a lot of venture capitalists here, it would seem. Do you think that they are looking now at Australia for some of the reasons that you've already outlined as being a very attractive proposition in future for investment?
So about 12, 18 months ago, I was fortunate enough to go on a trade mission to Israel, and that was led by Mark Allison from Elders. And when we were over there, we ran into some West Australians, and they were a very wealthy lot. There was probably 1 billion people in the minibus driving around, and they were looking for investment opportunities. They'd flown from West Australia to Israel to invest in startups. And I sat there and thought, well, what's going on here? Why are they doing that? Why did they fly over the top of Australia to get to Israel? And the answer was, the answer really was, they could go there, see 30 or 40 high quality investment opportunities. They could be back on the beach in Coslow, right, within a week. And I was thinking, well, actually, if they were to try and do that in Australia, it would take too long, it would be too hard, they'd have to go to a whole lot of different places. So we've one of our rationales behind holding evokeAG is to make it easy for investors, wherever you are in the world, to come to Australia, spend 2 days at evokeAG, a couple of days on the beach if you like, I don't care, but you can be home by the weekend and you will have seen the best of the best. So it's really, and that's why we've attracted the venture capitalists from all over the world, because we've made it easy for them to get here.
It's an eye-opening opportunity, really, in a very rich environment to form a connection.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Now, going forward, John, what do you see as some of the big opportunities for Australian agriculture?
The moment, the big opportunity I'm seeing is, what's the next step for me? It's probably the way I would look at it is, we've done evokeAG, that's got us open for business 2 days a year. What happens on the rest of the days? How do we connect players? How do we connect investors and startups and research and development corporations and research organisations and universities? How do we connect them every other day? And so for us, the next thing we're looking at is GrowAg, which is still in the conceptual phase, but a collaboration platform that helps some of these new players actually access the great innovation that's happening here in Australia.
What about some of the challenges? I mean, one of them has been really that emerging suspicion that there's been with consumers about the way food's produced, and your organisation has been quite proactive in that space and produced a report recently to look at some of these issues. What other challenges are there, or is that one of the big ones in your eyes?
Look, the challenge, it's probably part of the same challenge, I don't know, but is connecting people with their food. So I think that's a real challenge for us, is for people to understand in a much more complete way how food is produced and where it's produced and what some of the challenges and opportunities are associated with food production, and a stronger connection rather than just the supermarket. That is, for us, I think is a huge ongoing challenge, and it's certainly something that we're very passionate and interested about. And to be frank, when we talk to the next generation of people in agriculture, the emerging leaders, it's probably their number one or two priority is how do we connect with people in the cities? How do we connect with people that actually consume our product? How do we connect with our consumer?
One of the things that's quite struck me being here is that you have a pretty big focus on actually capturing what's going on here and producing content for media. And that therefore gives your event a longer life, doesn't it? It gives it a longer tail. What are your plans with some of that content?
Well, it also keeps a record of, there's so much to see here, okay? There are so many, we've got 100 speakers and they've all got a different technology or a different perspective on the world, and to be frank, we wanted to capture that, and we want to be able to reuse that and repackage that and keep that message going, because there's no way anyone could have come in and seen everything in the time available. And so we will repackage it and we will send it out, and hopefully we'll get interest in people looking at it and saying, hey, I actually want to talk to that guy, and that's the next step, and then hopefully there's something develops from there.
What do you think you'll be taking away from this massive and wonderful event, John, with your team and working on going forward?
Look, we'll actually be doing a full debrief. So we've been very careful to collect as we go along people's reactions, what people like, what people think we could do better next time. We're also very interested and looking at collecting deal flow, so any deals that come out of today. So that will be informing where we go next and what we do. But that data is critical.
John Harvey, Managing Director of AgriFutures Australia. Thanks for joining us in the evokeAG studio.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. Really been a pleasure.